There's also loads of benefits from being an SME. You can make decisions a lot faster. You're fleet of foot. You can adapt and pivot, and you can change your business model.
Some of these things that we're talking about here are creating a squeeze on SME businesses and putting people off, when actually we should be saying, give it a go. Best time to start a business is when you're young, isn't it?
And poor old SMEs haven't got the bandwidth and the overhead to be able to cope with all this extra stuff, but their customers will vote with their feet.
Well, it's the same with the kind of instant do it for me now type of thing, the instant quote.
Think of it positively. Say, okay, given that, how do we then combat that? How can we come up with quick quoting, quick deliveries, manage expectations of employees, and take on the best and use the best? I don't say good morning or good afternoon because you don't know when people are listening, do you? Or good night.
Good night. Wow, what a segue.
Shall I did that?
Did. Well, this is going to sound a bit sad, isn't it? But we've both got matching pyjamas.
Mr. and Mrs. Podcast.
We have actually got matching pyjamas.
We have got matching pyjamas. We just confessed that to the world.
There's a story, though, behind that.
You better tell the story now, as people will wonder.
It will sound a lot more professional, maybe.
No, but try anyway.
Well, we were in Amsterdam with a client.
That now it's already sounding worse.
That is true.
You thought that was improving.
Yeah, I did.
We were on a business trip to a foreign airport.
To a foreign airport.
Which we didn't get out of the airport for 24 hours.
So that was...
Yes. We both went to Amsterdam for a weekend and got matching pyjamas.
Yeah, please don't stop listening now. Carry on.
Yeah, this isn't that sort of podcast.
You've got to get the context. But yeah, so they happened to be in the Heineken bar in the airport.
In Schiphol Airport.
A fantastic offer.
I thought it was good. I was trying to work out the maths.
2 pints of
Heineken,
very cold, very refreshing on the
€9 a pint. Airport prices.
But you got the most amazing pair of Dutch pyjamas.
When you say Dutch pyjamas, they're pyjamas in the colours and whatever of the Dutch football team. It's a World Cup promo.
Yeah.
But even if you go, cheapy, whatever they import them from, how much it cost them to get them to that point boxed and branded up?
Well, you got the first pair because you got to have two, didn't you? So we had a pint each.
Well, I bought the first round. I'd just like to have that noted.
And then I thought, well, I need it. I'm not going home. I'm not going home without a pair of those pyjamas.
They were hanging up just so you knew what they would look like.
And so he did ask me. He was very nice. He said, "Do you want small or medium or large or extra large?"
See, I thought that was 4 options, but it turns out there were 2.
Two.
So either small and medium or large and extra large.
I'll let listeners guess which one I went for.
But they're comfortable.
Well, yeah, they are actually very comfortable.
Right, well, I'm glad you're happy with pyjamas.
My kids aren't happy about it. They're like, "Why'd you keep wearing these pyjamas?" And I said, "Well, I would wear them to work, to be honest.
No way.
They're really
They're
comfy.
pyjamas.
Yeah, but you get away going to the co-op in them, I reckon."
Definitely not. They're pyjamas.
So, but anyway.
Okay, we've now confessed to the world that we do have matching pyjamas. Maybe there'll be a photo in socials somewhere.
Maybe this will be the episode that absolutely launches.
The skyrockets, we open a new community.
I don't want to know about that community.
What, the pyjama wearing community? The matching pyjama wearing. That's the one, yeah.
God.
I think it's probably about time that we did a podcast instead of this chit-chat. Hello and welcome to another episode of the SME Growth Podcast from Wellmeadow. And I do wonder whether we should say SMB, because everyone in the world sees SMB if they've got an American influence, don't they? Anyway, SME Growth Podcast from Wellmeadow.
Sure we had this conversation last week, didn't we?
We did. Did we decide just to take it as SME because it's British?
Because enterprise sounds more.
That's right. Because enterprise, because business sounds a little bit business-like,
whereas enterprise is like we're on a quest.
Sounds like an adventure, a quest.
Yeah,
like
Shackleton.
That. So we're going to stick with SME, folks. You'll be relieved to know. But we do have to acknowledge that some people don't understand that acronym so much because they're used to seeing SMB. Anyway, from Wellmeadow, we're HubSpot partners, and we don't just talk about that. We talk about building growth engines for companies. Happens to usually use HubSpot on the back end, and that's what we do. But we're here to talk about something hopefully interesting or useful to owners and managers of businesses. What have we got this week?
We're going to talk about the Great SME Squeeze. everybody wants more.
The Great SME Squeeze. I quite liked the idea of this, actually.
So yeah.
Good. And this is episode 180.
It is 180.
I've been looking forward for a number of episodes.
Well, I have actually.
On our darts theme.
I know I'm going to talk about the pajamas again. But obviously
if people have managed to fast forward the intro, then they're suddenly going to get hit again now.
The Great SME Squeeze is, but the darts thing, the actual top, does that not make you feel like you're playing darts?
You could play darts in that. Now, it wouldn't do the co-op in it, but you could go to Ali Pali.
I actually took a photo of myself next to my darts board wearing the top.
You'd have to have a name. You could get it embroidered on the back.
Yeah, well, it's Heineken.
You got Little Hand Luke and, Cool, whatever his name is.
Dickie Von Target was mine.
Okay.
My darts name.
We'll get that embroidered on the back for you. Excellent. So, darts, 180. So where were we? So lost the thread already. We're only 5 minutes in. Episode 180, which is a bit of a mini milestone. A couple of decades to go, and we'll be at the big 200. So what were the last three?
177, we talked about the role of the chairman and whether SMEs benefit from having one, and the distinction between CEO and chairman roles.
Separation of roles. And that was on the back of some news items just that week where two chairmen had been ejected from post.
Yeah.
And one, I still don't think we know why, the BP one. Some governance and behavioural issues or whatever they quoted. Exactly. That triggered that. It's an interesting topic.
And then so 178, we looked at the kind of 5-step process that Elon Musk outlined for his engineering, just how SMEs can use it to improve systems. So
a shameless attempt to do an experiment really on whether putting Elon Musk in the title of the episode makes the slightest bit of difference to listener numbers. Because previously we've mentioned him by accident before, and it had quite a blip. But you won't know for several months, because quite often people find these podcasts, if they're not a regular listener, they'll find it on a search. So we'll keep you tuned as to whether that's worked or not. But it was interesting anyway, the 5-step process and how we've used it.
And Elon, if you're listening, then thanks.
I'm sure he's listening,
179 was then the real purpose of company away days. So
yes, that had been mentioned, I think. I'd heard it on the radio, if you're doing a company radio. And I thought, you're right, this is the time of year people are thinking about doing that. And we were going to go for the indoor skydiving, but we've had to scotch that idea.
Too fat to fly.
Are you allowed to say scotch that idea? Is that a thing?
No,
anyway, we're not doing that. Idea. So scratch that. So we've got to think of another similarly daring-do activity, which is more inclusive to all shapes and sizes.
The bigger boned. Of our bigger boned colleagues.
Bigger boned, yes. Chunky. I like them chunky. Good. So that's the last three episodes, 177 through 9 and 180 today. So the Great SME Squeeze. So what prompted this one? I like it.
Well, I've
got a list of squeezes.
I think we're hearing reasonable amounts of chatter around this just in general media, aren't you? We're hearing people talk about, the cost of NI, minimum wage going up, business rates, employers, changes, employment,
national living wage,
all these different things that are coming. And is that starting to have an impact on the way that actual B2B transactions and relationships are evolving?
Yeah, well, that's one side of the squeeze. The other one being expectations.
Yeah,
I suppose they've always been set by the best. But the best weren't that much better than SMEs in the past, whereas now scale has brought you a tremendous amount of capability. Look at Amazon's delivery time. No one can just do that, deliver anywhere in the country next day or sometimes within hours.
Yeah.
And people expect that, customer service and all that. So we're going to talk about all of that. The expectations have gone up, and compliance is pushing the squeeze from the bottom end. And poor old SMEs haven't got the bandwidth and the overhead to be able to cope with all this extra stuff, but their customers will vote with their feet.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we thought it would just be an interesting topic to just go through and look at, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of businesses are feeling it, and what can you actually do about it?
So listing the examples then, that first one, let's pick up on that again, the Amazon one. There is now, I think, and this doesn't just hit SMEs, I think all retailers, and I'm finding this frustration as a shopper anyway, is because Amazon have now established not just the next day delivery promise, but the fact that they deliver on it. I don't know what your experience is, but pretty much 100% of the time. I think I've had one or two where it goes late, but you get an incessant stream of texts telling you and trackers and all that sort of thing. So then when you go to another, even online retailer, and you're going to order something, and they quote you $5.99 for delivery, it'll take a week. You think, well, hang on a minute, if I just switch and went for the big Amazon, whether they pay taxes or not, I'll leave to your own fact-finding. And whether they treat their employees well or not, I'll leave to your own fact-finding. But anyway, whatever your opinion is of them, you know that you can get free delivery if you're a Prime member, and it probably will turn up tomorrow. So how do you compete with that if you're a high street retailer?
Yeah. Well, I try not to buy stuff from Amazon. But
Which I try not to.
Everybody does. I mean, it's too convenient, isn't it?
Well, and it's clever. They've got that Prime membership thing, which when it first came out, I thought, is that really going to be worth it? No, I wouldn't do without it. Hope you're not listening to Amazon because I don't want you to put the price up anymore. But the thought of not having to even think about the delivery cost for small purchases, and I guess they've worked it out that it works on average.
Well, we were originally Love Film members. Remember Love Film?
I remember Love Film. Yeah, I remember. I posted the disc.
And then Prime bought that. Yeah. And so we were Prime members, novated from our Love Film
to Prime. That's how you became a Prime member.
And novated then into the general.
The whole thing. But now you get your free delivery and your TV and all that stuff.
But I was listening to a podcast the other day where they were talking about this and saying how it's very... The chap on the podcast lives in quite a rural area, so they don't get there in America, so they don't get packages that often. But he was saying how talking about this expectation now of everything being next day, because actually it was putting quite a lot of pressure on everybody, right?
Yeah.
It puts pressure on, like we're saying, other businesses that just can't compete because they don't have the infrastructure. It puts pressures on the drivers who have to deliver all this stuff. It puts
for a pound a package.
We all now have expectations around, well, why can't I have it tomorrow? Kind of thing.
What I would say though, and talking to the chief exec of our local business improvement district, Seb, who's been on podcasts before, he's trying to get the retailers locally to band together and make use of e-cargo bikes, which they can offer with subsidies because of grants available and all that. And if you had a kind of a delivery hub where all the local shops could get together and agree to use it this way, then there could be a kind of a milk round thing going on where it's all carbon emission free and all that, zero carbon, and they can deliver daily, if you like, from a high street shop to the local area. And the point of being a local business is that you're not expected to deliver that from Shrewsbury to Norwich by tomorrow, like Amazon do. People are using local retailers because they live locally predominantly, unless they're visitors to town. So you could do that. And then with pricing, you could choose to put the delivery cost into the price. Now, okay, that would probably make the headline price of the product non-competitive with an Amazon. But then you've got to play on, well, what are the other benefits then of buying locally? Yeah. It'd be easier to do the returns. You can come in and see it and talk to somebody about it or whatever. So anyway, that's the first one that we came up with, is that expectation now that delivery is included /free, prepaid, whatever, and the delivery will be next day.
But it's actually trying to track, he's talking about this whole thing with Amazon around trying to track their non-delivery. Because it's actually probably a lot higher than they make out, because they make out that everything gets delivered.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to get any stats on it. But he said what you can see is that the amount of space and the prominence of the has my package not been delivered on their website has actually risen up over recent years. So saying, because I just ordered something once and it told me it couldn't be, it couldn't be delivered that day because I just waited for a month, and after a month they just refunded me.
Right. I think that's partly, and I've experienced this a bit, when you go online, if you're getting something that's warehoused by Amazon and delivered by them, I've never had a problem, touch wood. But they're increasingly using it as a marketplace where third-party shippers, third-party suppliers warehouse themselves and deliver themselves, and they're the ones where I found you get a bit of a problem. But remember when we went to our pyjama buying trip to Amsterdam, I lost my AirPods. Yeah. And by the way, if you're listening and you're living in that house that I can give you the address for, I know exactly where they are.
You're listening with a pair of AirPods.
And why the bloody hell haven't you phoned me to tell me you got them and offered to send them back? But thanks a lot for that. Just goes to show the find my devices only goes so far. So I bought myself a new pair, and I'm probably going to have to claim on the insurance, aren't I, and sort all that out. But anyway, when they arrived, it sent me through the Amazon app a number that I had to quote. And it wasn't as if I just said it and the other guy said, yeah, that's the right number. Here they are. He had to type it. He had no idea what the number was. He had to type it into his device, and then it told him whether he was allowed to hand it over to me or not. So they must have a lot of occasions, a lot more than you'd realise, because it was 170 quid. It's not like you can spend a lot more on Amazon products, right? Yeah. So it's not trivial. It wasn't a tenner, but clearly it's a very nickable item. And it's small, isn't it? A package for that. So they're having to deal with that, which is a bit annoying, worrying. Yeah. Maybe local businesses can have more of a trust with their
Yeah.
customers. So that was the first one. What's another idea that we're squeezed with?
Well, it's the same with the kind of instant do it for me now type of thing, the instant quote type of thing. So
yeah, because you can go on to some, well, certainly for retail, for products, then you're more used to having prices revealed. But imagine you're a plumber or a professional services company helping with HubSpot activations. There is this expectation that it's very easy for you, because other people have done it, to just come up with a price straight away.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we come across that in a way with HubSpot, because you can go to the HubSpot page and go to all the configuration you want, and it'll give you an instant price.
yeah,
And people expect that of professional services. Well, you couldn't do that with your lawyer or your accountant easily, as it stands. But it does beg the question, why not? You know, you're going to go through the same thought processes at some point anyway. Could you codify them? Could you put some bands around it? Could you at least give people, I was talking to a client yesterday about this, they have a 50% dropout between their indicative quote stage and their formal quote stage.
Right.
And the indicative quotes take them several hours to put together.
right.
So if you've got 50% dropout, why don't you come up with a tool that gives a range around what that will be?
Yeah.
Maybe even train AI on the last 1,000 of them you've done, because you've probably done that many. And then just say, I'm not going to be held to this, but gives you a guide, and try and filter out that 50% that clearly realize they're talking to the wrong person.
I think that's probably one of those things, isn't it? When you think about it, there is this, back to the Amazon thing, of the instantness of it all. And I have got a little bit of a problem with that. Just because I don't think we're probably heading down a particularly productive pathway as a society.
No, well, you mean the consumerist materialist angle.
Or just everyone expects everything now, and
Yeah.
you know that's
You do take some of the joy out of it by not having to wait, don't you?
I think there are certain things in life that you just have to wait for.
Yeah.
And if you condition everybody to say, well, you don't have to wait.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to a chappie once who had here to do some consulting work with us, but he was talking about McDonald's and how he was doing a piece of work with McDonald's where, and you can probably do this because this was 10 years ago. He was saying, well, imagine you go to the drive-through and you can text them beforehand what you want so that when you get to the drive-through, it's just there.
Yeah.
Now
Who would have thought?
Like, who would have thought you could do that? But this was 10 years ago, maybe even a bit longer. And I thought, well, last time I went to a drive-through at McDonald's, I sort of pulled up, ordered my food, paid, collected it within a minute. Like, how much faster do I need the Big Mac?
That's crazy.
Like, there comes a point where we say, what are we trying to achieve here with all this? Yeah. But I think there's something maybe in that, in terms of if you've got processes or services or products that you're able to sell, and it, like you say there, if there's opportunity to optimize, then maybe that's a good pressure.
If there's waste in it.
If there's waste in it. But sometimes you've got to understand the context. Like a lot.
Well, I suppose it's whether you value the journey. You know, is it a utilitarian purchase? In which case, I just need a new supply of loo rolls. You know, I don't really think too much about it. Coffee, I might want a little bit more of, to be teased with some of the options, because that's a luxury product, or chocolate or something. You know, I don't just want to have a bulk delivery of that every week. And the same with your coffee from McDonald's. You know, if you're driving somewhere and you just need to grab it, or a Starbucks drive-through or whatever, then maybe speed does have a value to you. But if not, if you're getting into a coffee shop, you wouldn't want it to be served as, or if you're at a restaurant, you want to browse the menu. It's nice to know that it's actually being freshly prepared. You know, imagine if you went to a Michelin-star restaurant and as soon as you sat down, they don't give you a menu, you're on the tasting menu, first dish arrives. You'd feel that was wrong, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But how do you translate that across to the plumber, the accountant, the professional services firm? There is an expectation, and is it that hard to meet it, of coming up with a quick quote? What's the fear? I think people worry that their competitors will look at that and use it, and then
I suppose maybe a lot of those kind of industries as well, that people are getting 2 or 3 quotes, aren't they? I think because you don't know your plumber or your electrician, unless you do. I mean,
once you've got a trusted one, then you won't even ask for the quote.
You'll say, right, just come do the work.
Yeah, same rates as last time. Thanks a lot. I trust you. But if you're selecting a new one, if you're going to several websites, in our world, you can't really get very solid pricing off websites of our competitors, can you? If you were doing a HubSpot first off activation, you could probably get a bit of a feel for it for some things. You probably ask ChatGPT to give you some ranges. I think
probably what happens with the instant quote is that you're going to have to say, right, we've got to scope this down so tightly now, to say, right, we'll do that for you. You know, we come across this a lot. We'll do onboarding for you for £1,000, or someone will say that, and we lose a huge amount of work, but we do some work to that. But you're never going to achieve your objective with £1,000.
No.
So,
But are they in our market?
possibly not. But it does take people. People come back. So we've got one at the moment where they're coming back after a year or so because they went for some very cheap onboarding.
Yeah.
Now they need to actually think through some processes. They're going, right, we need people who can actually help us.
But back to my example where there's a 50% dropout between the indicative quote, which is more than just a quick number guess, and the full-on quote. You are just failing faster, which is a good thing. You know, if people have come into this with the wrong expectation of what things cost, or they're just flying a kite or getting a budget quote, don't invest time in things that aren't. And I think this is a philosophy of infinite opportunity, that you don't have to work every deal that comes into your pipeline as if your life depended on it. It's actually okay to say, no, some of these people, whenever in our market anyway, they've accidentally blown into our pipeline for good reasons from our process point of view. They seem to be marketing qualified. We seem to be sales qualified. And then when we've done a discovery call, it turns out the deal isn't there. But okay, get rid of it then. Go and get another one. Instead of working, zombie deals, spend your efforts on getting people into your pipeline that do want to be there.
Is it Marcus Sheridan with the assignment selling? And
just
give sometimes,
give some homework.
Give some homework or just see if they're serious. So yeah, I mean, all those things, aren't they? They're pressures. Some of the things you can do something about.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I think it's worth, though, not dismissing it, not just saying we can't. Say, well, if you could get better, could you quote faster? Could you give an indicative quote? Could you do something, which a lot of people now like to do these early stages touchlessly. They don't want to speak to you, but maybe they'll happily WhatsApp. It's okay, put a WhatsApp channel on. We've got another client, haven't we? A long-standing one in the hospitality trade, and they're selling hardware. But they found that the WhatsApp channel has completely opened up a whole channel, if you like, for ways of people contacting you, because people feel comfortable with it. It's native, it's asynchronous. It's unlike the chatbot where you've got to respond within a minute or they've wandered off. It sits there like an email does, but people aren't on email all the time, certainly certain generations, certain industries. So if you could do, in fact, didn't Archie tell us once about his business, which was very WhatsApp dependent, and that they produced quotes on that, lease quotes for leasing equipment. Okay, so there's that one. So some cost ones then. They were the expectations of customers, but cost pressure side, bottom up, we mentioned them in the intro.
Yeah, so minimum wage is up, isn't it?
So £12.71. I don't know about you, whenever I hear about this, I'm really conflicted because I want people to all earn a minimum wage. How can you argue against a minimum wage? When it first came in at £6 or whatever it started off at, you couldn't argue against the principle. Why would we want a society where we value some people so lowly that we're having wages that low? Is £12.71 the right number? I don't know. I guess the Low Wage Commission recommend it every year, don't they? And they're trying to get that set up. Is it 2/3 of median earnings or something? There is a formula. But it's got to the point now where smaller businesses really struggle. And I think the bit they've struggled most on is the change of the age bands. Because for the 18 to 20-year-olds, it's currently £10.85. But they've brought that cut-off down to 21. It used to be, correct me if I'm wrong, 24 or something. So the cafe around the corner is advertising for 18 and 19-year-olds, and as soon as you get to 20, they say goodbye to you. Because suddenly it costs £2 more an hour to employ you when they can get someone else in a year younger. And how can you justify that difference of £2 an hour, 20% difference from someone who's 19 to 20, or 21 rather? So that's where I think the smaller businesses probably suffer a bit more from that.
Well, and I suppose as well, there's you've got the number of graduates, number of young people. The unemployment levels there are very high. Not solely because it's now more expensive to employ, but that is a large contributory factor, I would imagine. I think the regulations, the employers, maybe not entirely justifiably, but a lot of employers are worried that because of the day one rights coming in, and therefore they don't want to recruit in case they can't get rid of somebody who doesn't fit. That there's a lot of holding back on that, isn't there? So we've got this minimum wage pressure, which I don't know what the solution is. You couldn't say smaller companies are exempt from minimum wage, could you? That would be unfair. Would you advocate that? So, it's almost where's the Laffer curve equivalent of wage to
there's got to be something, but I don't know how I don't think you could fairly exempt small businesses from minimum wage. You've got to, because there are also lots of young people working for big businesses as well. But small businesses where they're tight on the margins and they haven't got the overheads to manage it properly, it does seem to impact them. I mean, as per the employer's national insurance. Now, there is a minimum cut-off, which used to, I think, especially for part-time people, that used to work quite well because it was 9,500 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You didn't pay any employer's national insurance below that number. And now that's down to 5,000.
Yeah.
So people on reduced hours contracts are now getting swept up in that. So employers have to pay it. Although you don't pay that for under 21s. So just to be clear on that. So those two things do sort of work in different directions. Although I don't think that's well understood by small business people.
Yeah. And I think with all this, isn't it? This is one of the things and it depends on your staff mix and how. Because for some companies, the minimum wage is academic, right? If you pay higher than minimum wage, then it's not a problem that it increases because you're already above it.
Yeah.
But for those that maybe have some more minimum wage people on, and the national insurance, employees' national insurance contributions, you could be looking at, if you've got 30, 40 people in your organisation, it could be, 100K on the...
Well, it has the knock-on effect, doesn't it? There's that client we've got over in Coventry. They probably used to pay 20, 30% above minimum wage for their shop floor.
Yeah.
But because that minimum wage has been going up at 9 or 10% some years, it's catching up. So it's squeezing that margin. So then they have to push the other ones up higher. So it has got that effect.
So I think there's all of a sudden, maybe 100 or whatever, 150K in your business that's disappeared.
Yeah.
Just because...
And when you're small, that's a huge cost. So you've got this expectation from customers squeezing down. You've got the cost pressure squeezing up. I think the other angle is the employees' expectations. And I'm thinking of things like flexible working or onboarding. We've had people come here from bigger organizations and it's not their fault, but they expect things that they've seen elsewhere. So where is your 2 to 3 week onboarding process with my mentor, and where's my training programs and where I get my certifications and all that? And you look around and you think, well, there's only us here. So who's going to do that then?
Well, we were having this sort of similar conversation at the weekend with some friends over a pint of beverage, and they were all talking about Christmas parties.
So it's the summer.
Well, no, we were talking about saying how now, in their current roles, working for local government, they have to pay for their own Christmas party.
No way.
And buy their own drinks and do all this type of thing.
Local government, I suppose, yeah.
Whereas in previous life, working in more corporate environment, one was off a 3-day cruise and...
Oh, well, that's one extreme to the other. Gosh.
Another one was, massive party, and the other chap who there works for a large company that was, the chief exec was in the news recently, but he was saying, the cost of their Christmas party must run into the $250,000+ type thing, like 800-900 people coming and all of that.
So if you come from that to an SME,
you come from that to an SME, and I was sitting there going, "What are you talking?" I think we do pretty well for where we're at. Actually,
we went to a very nice restaurant last Christmas.
Nice. And so, but it was interesting just seeing if people come with this expectation of what a large corporate. It was interesting even when we were in Holland the other day. That conversation went round about what's the package like for the company, and one of the people there was saying that from a previous role, it was a totally different type of organisation, and you can't actually compare the package.
No.
Which I thought was quite a good...
If it's a big firm and it's if you're in professional services at the city sort of scale, then that's going to be different to a smaller business, isn't it? Naturally.
Yeah. I mean, Mrs. Buckle used to work for Unilever, and the package there was ridiculous.
Didn't she have a year's maternity leave?
Paid, yeah.
Paid, twice. Should have carried on having kids. Make money out of it.
Yeah, there's definitely a laugher curve there.
You're on a laugh on that one.
But and she got to keep the company car as well.
I thought you said she got to keep the kids.
She got to keep the kids.
Well, they virtually paid for them as it is.
Give them back, they're now top sales reps for
breed your own employees. Oh my goodness. So there's that bit about when you turn up and let's say Christmas dinner and whether the onboarding is there or not, and do you have death in service policies and all that. It's a lot harder for small companies to get your head around all that. But also the career development and training.
Yeah. In
bigger firms, you've got development departments in some cases, producing videos and courses and all that specifically for employees. You're a small firm, you're relying on people to look after themselves, and that's not what's expected. But smaller companies get that squeeze still, don't they? Especially if people have come from the bigger firms.
Yeah, or if they've got friends in bigger firms or things like that.
I'm also a bit worried about, I don't think you mentioned before there'd been a legislative change about late payments, but late payments, I think, disproportionately affects smaller firms as well, don't they? Yep. Lots of them, the cash buffer is small, especially if a younger firm hasn't had time to build up reserves and have a nice solid balance sheet. So if big customers decide, oh yeah, we just need to sort out the cash a little bit this month, let's stretch the creditors, adding a couple of days on, that can really hurt small businesses. But I didn't look into the change. I know there was one years ago, and I'm not sure it made much of a difference, but it was more of a public sector procurement are now forced to pay on time. But I'm not sure what impact it has on the private businesses.
No, I mean, we did have, talking forward, a client recently who actually made a point, a much bigger company, but made a point about making sure invoices got paid really quickly because it was unfair for SMEs to have to wait for so long. And I thought it was actually...
It prioritised the smaller businesses.
Yeah.
That was Rob, wasn't it? Did you talk about that as well?
It was Alex.
Oh, well, that's two we've heard about then.
And but I thought, you know what, that's actually just made me think, you know what, okay, not that I wouldn't go the extra mile for everybody else, but it just it was kind of warming in a sense to think, okay, someone's thinking about the SMEs.
Yeah. Well, apparently there's some UK government research on this, that 1.5 million businesses have got overdue invoices. Well, no shit, Sherlock, that's a lot. But with an average of £17,000 overdue at any one point across all those businesses. Now, clearly there's a skewing effect in there of some of the bigger ones. But if we're looking at just SMEs, I think that's probably undercutting it.
And before we get people writing in, I'll just apologise for Mr. Parry's language there.
This isn't the BBC. Don't connect.
I'm joking.
I've heard your potty mouth on these podcasts before. Anything else on there? I suppose other things that are coming in, not yet affecting SMEs, things like the gender pay gap reporting, modern slavery reporting, some of that compliance stuff that you have to do. It's all good stuff. You can't argue against it. But if you were to do lots of just good stuff right down to the one employee, you'd never start a business. Before you'd even produced your first product or got your first invoice, you'd have to have so many policies and procedures in place. You wouldn't have any time to actually deliver the goods.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? Is it stopping people wanting to start businesses? Is it stopping people trying to be entrepreneurial, to give it a go? Are we creating such a high barrier to entry here that being an entrepreneur, which I think most people would recognize as being a major contributor to economic growth? Yeah,
a lot of employees are employees. 60% of employees in the country are from SMEs. And
I think, really something has to be done. We can't continue as a country taking it up to the kind of meta level of, sort of paying out more in benefits than we do earning tax receipts.
Yeah.
We have to, and also, morally, what are we doing with loads of young people who are just almost consigned to a life on benefits because there's no jobs or there's no opportunity? Why aren't we giving, we need to give them
the to encourage the smaller businesses,
encourage them to start something, fulfill their passion, fulfill purpose, all those sorts of things. And some of these things that we're talking about here are creating a squeeze on SME businesses and putting people off, when actually we should be saying, give it a go. The best time to start a business is when you're young, isn't it? Plenty of time in front of you to fail, and
cost of failure is a lot lower. You haven't got dependents or maybe even a mortgage yet, if you can do that while you're living at home still. So there's a positive end to that story then.
Plea.
Yeah, exactly. Don't use it as an excuse. Acknowledge the fact that it's tougher for SMEs if they try and meet those expectations. But there's also loads of benefits from being an SME. You can make decisions a lot faster. You're fleet of foot. You can adapt and pivot, and you can change your business model, change what your people do. Adopt AI without all of corporate IT crawling all over you and all that. Good or bad, though that may be.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a squeeze on SMEs, but think of it positively. Say, okay, given that, how do we then combat that? How can we come up with quick quoting, quick deliveries, manage expectations of employees, and take on the best and use the best?
But you know how like a cool, refreshing glass of orange juice is really nice?
Have you got sponsorship?
You can't get it. You can't get it out of the orange without squeezing it.
You can't.
So there you go.
That's your squeeze.
That's your squeeze.
So, right. So you have to squeeze the SMEs to get the juice out.
Yeah. and then drink them. Maybe
is this a good metaphor?
Anyway,
I think we'll leave it at that.
Tropicana.
Yeah. Quick, charge them. Thank you very much again for listening to another episode of the SME Growth Podcast from Wellmeadow, where we try and come up with something useful or interesting for owners and managers of SMEs all across the country and beyond. If you think that's been useful, please tell someone else about it. And in the meantime, good luck with your business.